Welcome, everyone. Today, we're really jumping into something fascinating, the complex world of African religions and spiritual practices.
Yeah, it's a huge topic. We've looked at a lot of material, and it's clear these aren't just, old customs.
Not at all. They're incredibly deep, intricate systems of belief and knowledge that have shaped cultures across Africa for, well, thousands of years.
Exactly. And our goal today really is to get past the surface stuff.
Right. We want to explore the core ideas, the wisdom in these traditions about life, the universe, everything.
And one thing that just keeps coming up is this idea of interconnectedness. It's fundamental.
Interconnectedness, how so?
Well, it's like the lines we usually draw between people, nature, the divine, ancestors, the cosmos, they're much blurrier, more fluid in these worldviews.
Okay, that's a key idea then. We'll keep an eye on that.
Definitely. It runs through everything we'll cover: the core beliefs, rituals, divination, healing, cosmology, and even how these traditions survived and changed in the diaspora.
So the mission is basically to give you a really solid but still accessible grasp of these fundamentals.
That's the plan, moving beyond just scratching the surface.
Okay, let's start with those core beliefs then.
Ah,
The idea of a supreme being.
oh.
That seems common, right? Often a creator figure,
It is, yeah. Though often seen as transcendent, maybe a bit removed from the everyday, but still present, still the ultimate source.
like the Akan Yame or Odamakoma
Hmm.
or Olodumare for the Yoruba.
Precisely. And you see in Zambia and many Bantu cultures too, but what's interesting is how that relationship works.
It varies.
Oh, significantly.
Wow.
Sometimes the connection isn't direct. There's more emphasis on, well, intermediaries, which tells you a lot about how different cultures see the divine's role in the world.
Okay, so not always a direct line,
Hmm.
which brings us to those intermediaries, the spirits, the deities.
Exactly. The Orishas in the Yoruba tradition are a perfect example. Yumaya for the ocean, life-giving.
Shango for thunder, justice. Ogun,
Hmm.
spirit of iron, war, even technology.
Right. Each embodies a key part of the world or human life. They're tangible forces you can engage with.
And the Ikan have the Abuzum, linked to nature, like rivers and mountains.
Yes, very similar idea. They bridge that gap between the ultimate source and us. And their stories, their domains, they help explain the world, both seen and unseen. It's a framework for understanding life's forces.
That makes sense.
Uh,
And then ancestor veneration. That feels deeply important across many cultures.
Hugely important. It's not just remembering people, it's believing they're still present, still influencing things.
So the family connection continues beyond death.
Absolutely. Ancestors are seen as having a real stake in their descendants' lives. So rituals, prayers, offerings, they're about respect, yes, but also seeking guidance, blessings, protection.
It reinforces that sense of history, lineage, belonging.
Exactly. You see it strongly in Zulu culture, Xhosa, Yoruba, Ashanti, all over. It really highlights this idea that the past isn't gone. It's right here, and you can still draw on the wisdom of those who came before.
Okay, so those are some core beliefs. How do people actually practice these things? The rituals, the ceremonies, that's where it comes alive, right?
Totally. Rituals are the heartbeat. They're how people connect, communally or individually, with the divine, with the spirit world.
And music, especially drumming, seems central.
Oh, absolute pivotal in many traditions. It's way more than just rhythm. It's considered a form of spiritual communication.
Like a language. I read it's seen that way in Yoruba and Yu traditions. The drums can guide spirits, even call down deities.
That's the understanding. The specific rhythms are thought to resonate with specific spirits or energies. It literally creates a pathway, a bridge between worlds. Sound as a spiritual force.
Fascinating. And what about sacrifices and offerings? That's often misunderstood, I think.
It can be, but fundamentally they're acts of respect, gratitude, sometimes appeasement or restoring balance if something's wrong.
So offering food, drink, maybe animal sacrifice, symbolic items. It's about maintaining that relationship.
It's about reciprocity, nurturing the connection. It's crucial in traditions like Vodun, Ifa, Haitian Vodou for keeping harmony. It's a very tangible way to share devotion.
And these happen in specific places, sacred spaces, altars.
Yes, either communal temples or often right in the home. These spaces become focal points, places charged with spiritual energy.
Decorated with statues, candles, ritual tools.
Exactly. Things that represent deities, ancestors, or have spiritual significance. They're points where that veil between worlds feels thin.
The sources also mention initiation rites. These sound like major life events.
They are big transitions into adulthood, into specific spiritual roles. They involve complex rituals, teachings, passing down sacred knowledge.
Like the Dogon people in Mali. Their ceremonies sound incredibly layered, tied to their whole cosmology.
That's a great example. It shows the depth. It's about integrating the individual into the bigger story, the culture's story, the universe's story. It's a journey of transformation.
So learning, changing, inheriting wisdom.
Precisely. Which leads us nicely into divination, another really critical element. Seeking insight, right? Guidance from the spirit world.
To understand now and what might be coming.
Yes. And Ifa divination in the Yoruba tradition is such a well-developed system for this.
With the Babalawo, or Yellow, the diviners, using cowrie shells or palm nuts.
That's right. They interpret the patterns thrown, accessing the wisdom of Orunmila, the Orisha associated with wisdom and knowledge. It's a whole symbolic language.
It sounds like more than just fortune telling.
Much more. Ifa has this vast body of verses, the Odu Ifa, offering guidance on pretty much any life situation. It's about understanding the spiritual forces at play and finding the right path, finding balance.
And this role of the diviner, or healer diviner, seems common across Africa. Like the Sangoma among the Zulus.
Very common. They're vital intermediaries. They don't just see things. They often diagnose the root cause of problems, misfortune, illness, seeing it potentially as spiritual imbalance or maybe displeased ancestors.
So they figure out the why from a spiritual perspective.
Exactly. And then they work to fix it. Through rituals, maybe trance states, communicating with spirits or ancestors, and often using herbs, charms, prayers too.
Which links divination directly to healing.
Absolutely. There's a very holistic view of health. Body, mind, spirit, they're all connected. Illness isn't just physical. It can be a sign that something's out of whack spiritually.
So healing involves both spiritual work and often a deep knowledge of plants and herbs.
Yes, exactly. Think of the Shona herbalists in Zimbabwe. They have incredible knowledge of local plants and their medicinal uses, but it's often combined with spiritual remedies. It's integrated.
And there are also rituals specifically for cleansing or protection.
Right. To clear away negative energy, remove blockages, or shield people from harm. Using ancestral altars to ask for protection during tough times is a powerful example of that ongoing reliance on ancestors.
This all ties back to the cosmology, doesn't it? An overall picture of the universe. It sounds like the physical and spiritual are seen as woven together.
Deeply intertwined, not separate realms, really. They constantly influence each other.
So the afterlife isn't some far-off place.
Often not. Spirits become ancestors, and they stay connected, still involved with the living. The Akan idea of Saman, the spirit world, reflects that closeness.
And all these different spirits, divine beings, ancestors, nature spirits, they're all active, influencing events here.
That's the view. It's a dynamic interplay. The Yoruba system, again, is a great example of this complex web of relationships. The key is maintaining balance within it all.
Balance is crucial. Upsetting it has real consequences.
Definitely. And some traditions, like the Dogon, even use things like sacred geometry, symbolic diagrams, to map out this cosmic order, to understand how everything fits together.
Just incredible complexity. Now, we also need to talk about how these practices traveled, transformed the diaspora.
A crucial part of the story. The forced movement of people during the slave trade led to these amazing, resilient, syncretic religions, especially in the Americas.
Blending African traditions with, mostly, Christianity.
Yes, often ingeniously. Look at voodoo, or Vodun. Its roots are in West Africa, Fon, Yu peoples. But in Haiti, it blended African deities, the Loa, with Catholic saints.
Allowing the core beliefs to survive in a new context.
Exactly. And the rituals, the music, the dance, offerings, spirit possession, they carry that powerful African spiritual core.
And Santeria in Cuba.
Maybe
Similar
it's
process.
Very similar. Yoruba beliefs met Roman Catholicism. Orishas were identified with specific saints, which allowed worship to continue, sometimes hidden in plain sight. But the practices offerings, drumming, dance, prayer to the Orishas, they remain central.
And Candomblé in Brazil.
Another vibrant example, especially strong in Bahia. Again, a blend of African spiritual traditions, Yoruba, Bantu, with Catholicism. Orisha worship is right at the heart, expressed through intense music, dance, possession.
It's remarkable how these traditions adapted and survived.
It truly is. It speaks volumes about their power and resilience. They maintain their spiritual essence while navigating incredibly difficult circumstances and engaging with new cultures, living proof of their strength.
It really drives home how deep these roots go. Okay, as we wrap up this deep dive, what are the main things we should take away?
Well, I think that core idea of interconnectedness is number one. It ties everything together, the supreme being, spirits, ancestors, nature, the cosmos.
Right, and the vital role of ancestors and spirits in everyday life.
Definitely. Plus the importance of ritual and divination for maintaining balance, seeking guidance, and of course, the incredible resilience and adaptability we just talked about, especially in the diaspora.
And we should remember, these aren't just belief systems in the abstract, they're whole ways of life.
Absolutely. They shape ethics, community, identity, everything.
So a final thought for everyone listening.
Yeah, maybe think about this. In our modern world, which often feels quite fragmented, what can we learn from this deep emphasis on interconnectedness and African spiritual traditions?
Could it offer insights for how we relate to nature, to community, even to ourselves?
It's something to consider, isn't it? Perhaps digging deeper into one specific tradition